Welcome to the channel. If you're enjoying this video already, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us more than you know. And we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell us where in the world you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Are you winding down at midnight in New York or just getting cozy at sunset in Lisbon? Let us know. Now, relax. Dim the lights. Get comfortable. Because what you're about to hear might just change the way you think. Forever. The 2-minute rule. This technique, popularized by productivity expert David Allen, is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. The idea is to clear mental clutter. Procrastination often builds on small, manageable tasks. Conquer those first, and you create a momentum that spills over into larger accomplishments. Whether it's replying to a quick email, washing a single dish, or tidying your desk, doing the little things right away frees up mental space. Label your emotions. Most people experience stress or sadness without pausing to define exactly what they're feeling. But labeling emotions reduces their intensity. Are you angry or are you frustrated? Are you anxious or just uncertain? Neuroscience studies show that when we name our emotions, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, reduces activity and the prefrontal cortex lights up, enhancing rational control. Visualize the process, not the outcome. Mental imagery can boost performance, but it depends on how you visualize. Don't imagine winning the race. Imagine the steps, the breath work, the stride, the rhythm. People who visualize the process of achieving their goal are more likely to succeed than those who only imagine the reward. The "what would I tell a friend" trick. When you're struggling with a tough decision or beating yourself up, ask yourself, what would I tell a friend in this exact situation? This mental shift externalizes the problem, allowing you to respond with more compassion, clarity, and wisdom than you might give yourself. The 90-second rule for anger. Neuroscientist Dr. Jill Bolte. Taylor notes that the chemical reaction of anger, that rush of cortisol and adrenaline, lasts only about 90 seconds. After that, you're just fueling it with your thoughts. When you're angry, recognize that you're surfing a wave, and if you wait 90 seconds without engaging the story, the wave often crashes on its own. Mirror neurons and confidence. You can literally hack confidence. When you adopt a confident posture, shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward, your brain starts releasing chemicals associated with confidence and dominance. This is due to mirror neurons, which not only respond to others' behavior, but also react to our own. Use "because" to persuade studies. Show that people are significantly more likely to comply with a request if it includes the word because, even when the reason isn't particularly strong. For example, can I cut in line because I'm in a rush? Is far more effective than just, can I cut in line? The brain likes logic, even superficial logic. The 5-second rule, Mel Robbins. When you feel the urge to act on a goal, get out of bed, speak up, start working. Count down from 5. 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. It interrupts fear-based thinking and shifts control from the emotional brain to the prefrontal cortex. Name your inner critic. Give your inner critic a name. Maybe it's nervous Nancy or doubtful Dave. This turns your inner voice into a character, someone you can recognize and distance yourself from. It helps reduce the critic's power over your thoughts and decisions. Mental rehearsal before sleep. The brain doesn't differentiate much between real and imagined experiences. If you mentally rehearse a presentation or a difficult conversation before bed, your brain strengthens the neural pathways as if you were actually doing it. This technique is used by Olympic athletes and public speakers alike. Opposite action from dialectical behavior therapy. When your emotions are pushing you toward an unhelpful behavior, do the opposite. Feeling anxious and want to hide, approach instead. Feeling angry and want to shout, speak calmly. This disrupts the automatic cycle and rewires your response patterns. The Zeigarnik effect. Ever notice how unfinished tasks occupy your mind? The Zeigarnik effect explains why. The brain fixates on incomplete tasks as a way of keeping them active. This can be used positively. Starting something makes you more likely to finish it. Just beginning a project is often the hardest part. Use yet to reframe limiting beliefs. I can't do this becomes I can't do this yet. That one word shifts your mindset from fixed to growth. It's subtle but powerful. Yet implies capability and progress rather than an absolute lack of ability. The Feynman technique, named after physicist Richard Feynman. This method involves explaining a concept as if you were teaching it to a 6-year-old. It forces you to simplify, clarify, and identify gaps in your understanding. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it deeply. The first thought, best thought. Writing hack. When journaling, don't overthink. Just write the first thought that comes to mind. This method
inspired by Zen Buddhism and practiced by creatives, helps bypass the ego and access deeper insights. Stream of consciousness writing clears the mental cobwebs. Use gratitude to rewire negativity. Bias. The human brain evolved to detect threats, which means it defaults to negative interpretations. Practicing gratitude, writing down 3 things you're thankful for every day, helps rebalance this bias and improves mental health over time. Chunking to improve memory. Ever wonder why phone numbers are grouped in chunks? It's because our working memory can only hold about 7 items at a time. Chunking, grouping information into larger, meaningful units, helps you remember more. Use this when studying, planning, or presenting. Cognitive reframing. This technique is about shifting how you interpret events. A cancelled meeting? It's not wasted time. It's a chance to catch up on something else. The brain reacts not to events, but to perceptions of events. Reframing changes your emotional reality. Practice box breathing to regulate stress, used by Navy SEALs and therapists alike. Box breathing is simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system and calms the mind rapidly. Habit stacking. To build a new habit, attach it to something you already do. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll do 5 minutes of meditation. By linking a new habit to an existing one, you harness the power of association. The
pre-mortem strategy. Most people think about success by visualizing a bright outcome. But what if you flipped that? A pre-mortem is a psychological exercise where you imagine that your plan has failed and then ask, what went wrong? This tool, often used by elite decision makers and strategists, brings potential problems into awareness before they happen. Let's say you're starting a new business or launching a creative project. Rather than assuming it'll go perfectly, you step into the future and imagine it collapsed. From that imagined failure, you list all the reasons why. Maybe you underestimated the time commitment. Maybe you didn't market enough. Maybe you were too focused on perfection instead of progress. Whatever the reasons, this method turns anxiety into clarity. It trains the brain to plan more thoroughly and reduces overconfidence. It's not pessimism, it's strategic realism. And it works because the human mind is biased toward optimism. The pre-mortem is a powerful check against that bias. Mental contrasting. Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan, whoop. Whoop is a framework created by psychologist Gabriele Oettingen. It's built on a strange but potent finding. Visualizing success alone can actually make people less likely to achieve their goals. That's right. Just fantasizing about a perfect outcome can satisfy your brain enough to reduce your motivation. So, how do you visualize in a way that works? WHOOP is the answer. It stands for wish. What do you want? Outcome. What would be the best possible result? Obstacle. What could get in your way? Plan. What will you do if that obstacle appears? This method strengthens goal commitment and increases follow-through. It teaches your mind to expect resistance and be ready for it. It's simple, science-backed, and only takes a few minutes. Use it before a big meeting, a tough conversation, or when trying to build a new habit. It sharpens mental focus by balancing optimism with preparation. The power of negative visualization. Stoic hack. Imagine losing everything you love. Your home, your job, your health. Not in a despairing way, but as a form of mental training. This is negative visualization, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy practiced by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. By imagining the loss of what we value, we deepen our appreciation for what we still have. It's not morbid, it's anchoring. It combats entitlement and recenters the mind on gratitude and humility. For example, if your partner annoys you, pause and think, what if they were gone tomorrow? This technique softens anger, increases compassion, and enhances presence. When you visualize loss occasionally, you stop taking life for granted. You find beauty in the ordinary. That's the quiet power of Stoicism. The Eisenhower Matrix for mental clarity. President Dwight D. Eisenhower famously said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." This insight inspired the Eisenhower Matrix, a 4-quadrant decision tool that helps you sort tasks by urgency and importance. Quadrant 1. Urgent and important. Do it now. Quadrant 2. Not urgent but important. Schedule it. Quadrant 3. Urgent but not important. Delegate it. Quadrant 4. Not urgent and not important. Eliminate it. When we're overwhelmed, our brains default to handling what's loudest, not what matters most. This matrix cuts through the noise. It's a mental filter that reduces decision fatigue and restores a sense of control. Use it to audit your week. You'll be surprised how many urgent things don't deserve your energy. Anchoring. Set the frame. Control the mind. Anchoring is a cognitive bias where the first piece of information we receive sets the tone for everything that follows. It's often used in marketing, but you can use it to hack your own thinking. For example, if you're negotiating a salary and you make the first offer, you've anchored the conversation around your terms. If you're setting a new personal goal, make the anchor something bold, like writing 2,000 words per day instead of 200. Even if you don't hit it, you'll likely land much higher than if you'd aimed low. Anchoring also works in daily life. Want to eat healthier? Start your day with one good choice: a glass of water, a stretch, or a piece of fruit. That becomes your anchor for the rest of your habits. The key is this: the brain takes cues from context, and the first cue, the anchor, holds surprising power. Rejection. Therapy. Desensitize your fear of no. The fear of rejection is primal. It stems from our tribal ancestry, where exclusion could mean death. But in the modern world, rejection is mostly symbolic, and yet we still fear it as if it's life-threatening. Rejection. Therapy is a practice where you deliberately seek out small rejections every day. Ask for a discount at a store. Request something unusual. Introduce yourself to a stranger. The goal isn't to get a yes. It's to get used to hearing no. This rewires your fear response. You learn that rejection isn't fatal. It's just feedback. Over time, your comfort zone expands. You stop taking things personally, and the anxiety that once paralyzed you begins to fade. The strongest people aren't immune to rejection. They're just desensitized to it. Socratic questioning. Argue with your own thoughts. When you have a negative or irrational belief, challenge it like a philosopher. This is called Socratic questioning, based on the methods of Socrates. Instead of blindly believing your thoughts, interrogate them with structured questions. What evidence do I have for this belief? Is this always true? What's an alternative explanation? What would I say if a friend had this thought? This method is especially helpful for anxiety and depression. Thoughts like, I'm a failure, or they all hate me, often dissolve under scrutiny. Your brain is a storyteller, not always a truth teller. Socratic questioning helps you become the editor of your own mental narrative. Use implementation intentions to stick to goals. An implementation intention is a simple formula. If X happens, then I will do Y. It links your goals to specific triggers. For example, if I feel the urge to check my phone while working, I'll take 3 deep breaths instead. This technique boosts follow-through decisions into your brain. You're not relying on willpower in the moment. You've already made the choice in advance. Studies show it significantly improves everything from exercise consistency to quitting bad habits. The more specific the if-then link, the more powerful the effect. Think of it as programming your brain like software. You write the rule and the system follows. Mental time travel to boost patience. Patience is hard because we live in the now, but humans are uniquely capable of mental time travel, imagining future scenarios and outcomes. You can use this to delay gratification and make wiser choices. When tempted by a short-term reward, say skipping the gym or eating junk food, picture your future self clearly. Visualize them looking back, either grateful or regretful. Make the consequences vivid. Ask, how will I feel tomorrow if I give in to this impulse? How will I feel if I don't? This exercise activates the prefrontal cortex and helps override emotional impulses. It doesn't eliminate craving, but it strengthens self-regulation. The 5 whys technique to get to the root. When something's not working, a goal, a habit, a relationship, don't just fix the symptom. Find the cause. The 5 whys technique helps you do that. You simply ask, why? 5 times in a row. Let's say you keep procrastinating on a project. Why am I procrastinating? Because I feel overwhelmed. Why do I feel overwhelmed? Because I don't know where to start. Why don't I know where to start? Because I haven't broken the task into steps. Why haven't I done that? Because I'm afraid it'll still feel hard. Why am I afraid of difficulty? Because I've failed before and don't trust myself. Now you're at the root. Self-trust. That's what needs attention. This method bypasses surface-level analysis and opens the door to deep change. Name it to tame it. Emotional granularity. Sometimes emotions feel overwhelming because they're vague. You feel bad or off, but you can't quite articulate why. That's where emotional granularity comes in. The ability to identify and label emotions with precision. Are you angry, or are you irritated, resentful, or betrayed? Each word paints a different emotional landscape. Studies show that the more precisely we name our emotions, the less power they have over us. This is known as name it to tame it, a phrase coined by psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Siegel. Labeling an emotion moves the experience from the amygdala, the emotional center, to the prefrontal cortex, which handles reasoning. That shift calms the nervous system. You can practice this like a meditation. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and scan your feelings. Give them names, not judgment. just description. This turns chaos into clarity. The peak end rule. Design memorable moments. Your memory doesn't record experiences evenly. Instead, it gives extra weight to 2 points in any event. The peak, the most intense part, and the end. This is known as the peak end rule. Understanding this gives you incredible power. Want a vacation, a speech, or a date to be remembered fondly? Focus on creating a positive, emotionally rich peak and end it on a high note. Even if everything else is average, those 2 moments shape the memory. This rule applies to work, relationships, even pain. Patients in studies rated painful procedures more positively when the ending was gentler, even if the procedure lasted longer. Hack your own life with this insight. Put a little extra thought into how experiences end. That final impression can rewrite the whole narrative. Mental subtraction. Imagine losing what you have. This might sound counterintuitive, but imagining the absence of something you love can heighten your gratitude for it. It's called mental subtraction, and it works because the human mind adapts quickly. We normalize our blessings. Take 30 seconds to imagine what your life would be like if you never met your closest friend, or never had access to music, or if your home was suddenly gone. Then come back to reality. The sense of appreciation that floods your system is real and grounding. Practicing this regularly helps prevent hedonic adaptation, the tendency to get used to good things and stop noticing them. Mental subtraction reverses that. It's like taking off mental sunglasses and seeing the brightness of your life again. The do it badly method to overcome perfectionism. One of the biggest blocks to action isn't laziness, it's perfectionism. You don't start because you're afraid it won't be perfect. But the solution isn't to try harder, it's to lower the bar. Enter the do it badly method. The rule is simple. Allow yourself to do it poorly, but do it anyway. Write a terrible first paragraph. Cook an ugly meal. Draw a shaky line. The goal is to bypass the inner critic and build momentum. Perfection comes in editing, not in starting. And what's surprising is, once you begin, the work often ends up better than expected. Starting is the hardest part. Give yourself permission to begin with imperfection. The default mode network and mind wandering. Your brain has a setting it goes into when it's not focused on a task. It's called the default mode network, DMN, and it activates during daydreaming, self-reflection, and mind wandering. This network is often viewed as a distraction, but it's also responsible for creativity, problem solving, and emotional integration. In other words, when your mind wanders, it's doing important background work. Instead of fighting it, embrace structured mind wandering. Go for a walk without your phone. Stare out a window. Let your thoughts drift. Many creative breakthroughs happen in the shower or during a walk for this reason. The DMN is given space to connect dots. So if you're stuck, don't push. Wander. Set anti-goals, the inverse strategy. Sometimes it's hard to define what you want, but it's much easier to define what you don't want, what you want to avoid at all costs. That's where anti-goals come in. Ask yourself, what would make this day terrible? What do I want to eliminate from my life? You might say, I don't want to feel rushed in the morning. I don't want to be in meetings all day. I don't want to end the day feeling anxious. From these answers, you can reverse engineer your schedule. Wake up earlier, block time, create space for rest. Anti-goals shine a light on hidden stressors. They help you protect your energy by designing life by subtraction. Use cognitive load management like a supercomputer. Your brain, like a computer, has limited working memory. The more it's trying to hold at once, passwords, errands, emotions, the more likely it is to crash, stall, or freeze. The solution is to manage cognitive load. This means offloading mental clutter into reliable systems, notes, calendars, reminders, to-do apps. But there's more. Avoid task switching. Every time you switch from one thing to another, your brain burns glucose and attention. It's like opening dozens of tabs in your mental browser. Chunk your tasks. Clear your environment. Give your brain room to breathe. A clear mind is a powerful mind. Reframing boredom as rest in a hyperstimulated world, boredom feels unbearable. We reach for our phones at the slightest lull. But what if boredom isn't a problem? It's a signal. Boredom often means the mind is tired of processing and needs quiet. It's the nervous system saying, "Let me breathe." Instead of escaping boredom, enter it. Let your thoughts drift. Stare at the ceiling. Feel the stillness. This creates space for deeper awareness and creativity to arise. Many ancient wisdom traditions used boredom, silence, stillness, repetition as a doorway to insight. Maybe boredom isn't your enemy. Maybe it's your invitation. The why not me reframe. When you see someone successful, it's common to think, that could never be me. But what if you asked the opposite? Why not me? This question isn't about arrogance, it's about possibility. It shifts your mindset from exclusion to inclusion, from scarcity to abundance. You begin to see that successful people aren't superhuman. They're just humans who kept showing up. They made mistakes, felt doubt, failed repeatedly, and still continued. Why not me? Doesn't guarantee success, but it opens the door, and that's where every journey starts. Treat habits as identity statements. Most people try to change their behavior by focusing on results. I want to lose 10 pounds. But real change happens when you focus on identity. Instead of saying, I want to write more, say, I am a writer. Instead of, I'm trying to be healthy, say, I am someone who values health. When you act in alignment with identity, change becomes effortless. Each action is a vote for the person you want to be. Skip one vote, no problem. Keep voting. Over time, the brain begins to believe the identity, and identity, once formed, is very hard to break. So don't just change what you do. Change who you believe you are. If this, then that. Emotional triggers. Emotions are often automatic, but they don't have to be random. With a little awareness, you can pre-program emotional responses to certain situations using what's called emotional conditioning. Think of it like this. If I hear my inner critic, then I'll smile gently and remind myself I'm learning. This is a twist on implementation intentions, but applied to feelings. You're not suppressing emotion. You're creating a pathway to respond with choice. For example, if I start to feel anxious in a meeting, then I'll focus on my breath for 10 seconds. If I feel frustrated while driving, then I'll turn on calming music. The brain loves patterns. If you pair discomfort with self-soothing actions consistently, those pairings become automatic. You train your nervous system to regulate itself gracefully. Use the 10-10-10 rule for tough decisions. Decision fatigue is real, and when emotions cloud your thinking, it helps to use time as your guide. The 10-10-10 rule, coined by author Susie Welch, invites you to ask, how will I feel about this decision 10 minutes from now? How about 10 months from now? And what about 10 years from now? This zooms you out of the moment's pressure and helps you see the long-term impact of your choices. It's especially useful in emotional situations, like responding to criticism, ending a relationship, or making a career shift. The 10-10-10 rule creates emotional perspective. It lets the wisdom of time advise your present self. The curse of knowledge bias, and how to disarm it. Once you know something, it's hard to imagine what it was like not knowing it. This is called the curse of knowledge, and it affects how we communicate, teach, and even empathize. We assume others understand our thoughts, our reasoning, or our instructions, but they often don't. This leads to frustration, confusion, and unnecessary conflict. To break this bias, pause before explaining something and ask, What would I need to hear if I were learning this for the first time? Or, what assumptions am I making? This shift improves communication and relationships. It softens judgment, and it makes you a better leader, teacher, and friend. The empty chair technique for inner dialogue. Developed in Gestalt therapy, the empty chair technique involves imagining that someone, or some part of yourself, is sitting in an empty chair across from you. Then you talk to them. You speak your truth, and then you switch seats and respond as them. This might sound strange, but it's deeply therapeutic. It gives voice to unresolved emotions, hidden beliefs, and inner conflicts. You can do this with a version of yourself from the past, a critical voice inside your head, a person you need closure with, even if they're gone. What emerges from this exercise often surprises people. It releases emotional pressure, it gives clarity, and sometimes it offers forgiveness. Create a personal North Star phrase. We all need something to come back to. A mantra, a sentence, a guiding phrase that centers us. This is your North Star, a small piece of language that reminds you who you are or what matters most. Examples include progress, not perfection. I am rooted, not reactive. This too shall pass. Lead with kindness. Repeat it during stress. Write it down. Whisper it before sleep. Over time, your nervous system starts to associate the phrase with safety, confidence, and alignment. It becomes more than words. It becomes a felt sense of grounding. Mental reset. Use begin again as a cognitive switch. When you lose focus, fall into a bad habit, or spiral into negative thoughts, the mind often says, "I've ruined it." But what if instead you trained yourself to say, "Begin again"? This phrase, often used in meditation, is a reset button. It bypasses shame and restores agency. You're not starting over from scratch. You're simply resuming the path. Begin again means the breath can be reclaimed. The day can still be shaped. The future is not determined by the last 5 minutes. It's gentle, it's forgiving, and it's incredibly powerful. The spotlight effect. No one's watching as closely as you think. Ever stumble in public and feel like everyone noticed? That's the spotlight effect. The tendency to overestimate how much people notice or remember our behavior.
But the truth is, most people are too absorbed in their own inner worlds to pay that much attention to yours. Understanding this frees you. You can dance, speak up, ask questions, or take risks. Not because you're fearless, but because most people aren't watching anyway. They're too busy worrying about what you think of them. This realization quiets self-consciousness and invites more freedom. Mood follows movement. Feelings follow action, not the other way around. If you wait to feel motivated before moving, you might wait forever. But if you move first, motivation
often follows. This is one of the most counterintuitive, yet reliable, psychological hacks. Mood follows movement. Take a short walk, stretch your body, wash a dish, or clean a surface. These small actions signal to your brain, I am shifting, and once the body shifts, the mind often catches up. It's not fake, it's a feedback loop, and it's yours to activate. Practice time affluence instead of time scarcity. Time scarcity, the feeling that there's never enough time, is a major source of stress. But what if you shifted to time affluence, the sense that you have plenty of time for what matters? This is mostly a perceptual shift. People who feel time affluent are more present, generous, and calm, even if their schedules are full. The trick: build micro moments of spaciousness into your day. Take 5 minutes to pause. Walk a little slower. Block your calendar for nothing. Say no more often. These choices reinforce the belief, I control my time. I have enough. Use the mirror morning technique for self-trust. Every morning, look into a mirror. Make eye contact with yourself. Not in a rushed, superficial way, but like you're speaking to a friend. Then say something intentional. Maybe, you've got this, or I'm proud of you, or even, let's try again today. This might feel awkward at first, but over time it builds a relationship with the self that's intimate, supportive, and deeply healing. You stop being a stranger in your own reflection. You start seeing someone worthy of effort, of kindness, of belief. Closing open loops for mental peace. Your mind is like a computer, and every unfinished task is an open tab. These open loops consume mental energy, even when you're not actively thinking about them. You might feel distracted or anxious without knowing why. It's because your brain is still running background processes. The solution: close the loops, write things down, send the email, make the call. Even better, schedule the task. Your brain will often treat it as handled just by assigning it a time. David Allen, creator of Getting Things Done, called this mind like water, a state where your brain is calm because it's not carrying all the weight. It's not forgetfulness, it's freeing up RAM so your thoughts can breathe. Reframe I have to as I get to. Language is powerful. It shapes perception. When you say I have to, it implies obligation, pressure, even resentment. But when you say I get to, it transforms that same task into a privilege. I have to pick up the kids becomes I get to pick up the kids. They're safe and healthy. I have to go to work becomes I get to go to work. Many can't. This isn't about pretending hard things are easy. It's about aligning your perspective with gratitude. And gratitude, even in tiny doses, rewires your emotional experience. Your day doesn't change, but your relationship with it does. The one-sentence journal method. Journaling can feel overwhelming. You sit down, stare at a blank page, and don't know where to start. That's why the one-sentence journal is so powerful. You write one sentence a day. That's it. It could be something you learned, a moment that made you smile, a feeling you notice. Over time, these little entries accumulate into something profound, a map of your emotional and mental life. You begin to spot patterns you reconnect with. Forgotten details, and you build the habit of reflection without pressure. The best part, even years later, one sentence is enough to bring a whole day back to life. Recognize the arrival fallacy. Trap. Many people live under the illusion that once they reach a certain goal, the job, the relationship, the number on the scale, they'll finally be happy. This is called the arrival fallacy. It's a trap, because when you arrive, the goalpost moves. The satisfaction is fleeting, and you begin chasing the next thing, over and over. Happiness is not at the destination, it's in the process. In the becoming, not the arriving. This doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you anchor your identity in the now, in the way you show up, not just where you're going. Use environmental design to influence behavior. We often think willpower is the key to discipline, but behavior is more often shaped by environment. The things around you, their placement, visibility, and ease of access strongly influence your choices. Want to drink more water? Keep a full bottle within reach. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to eat less sugar? Remove it from the house entirely. This is called environmental design, shaping your surroundings to support your goals. It's not about forcing behavior. It's about making the right behavior the easy behavior. Discipline isn't just internal, it's architectural. The 1-minute rule for clarity. If something takes less than 1 minute to do it immediately. This rule is a simplified version of the 2-minute rule, but it emphasizes speed and simplicity. It's for tasks like hanging up a coat, putting away dishes, or sending a thank you message. Why does it matter? Because these tiny things, left undone, accumulate visual and mental clutter. Over time, they create a sense of overwhelm. But when you handle them as they arise, your environment and your mind stay light. The key to mental peace isn't always big breakthroughs. It's in mastering the small. Practice psychological distancing in stressful moments. When emotions are high, it helps to zoom out. This is known as psychological distancing, viewing your situation from a third-person perspective. Instead of saying, "I'm failing," you might think, "Sarah is facing a setback and she's learning through it." This switch activates more rational brain regions and reduces emotional reactivity. You become your own coach, not just your own critic. It's especially powerful during conflict. Imagine the whole interaction from a bird's eye view. What would an observer notice? What would they suggest? Distance doesn't disconnect you. It gives you clarity. Stack your wins to build self-esteem. Confidence isn't built from one major success. It's built from small wins, repeated and remembered. Each time you do something hard, even slightly, take a moment to notice. Write it down. Say it aloud. Store it in your mental trophy case. This is called stacking wins. Over time, you build a memory bank of evidence. I can do hard things. This becomes your armor against doubt. Most people don't lack achievement. They lack acknowledgement of their own effort. So tonight, ask yourself, what did I win at today, even if it's just showing up? Use reverse visualization to calm nerves. Before a big event, a presentation, a first date, a test, you might feel tense. That's normal. But here's a hack. Instead of visualizing the start of the event, visualize the end, when it's over and it went well. Imagine yourself walking out of the room, smiling. Imagine the relief, the pride. Your nervous system begins to feel that future. This type of visualization reduces anticipatory anxiety. It gives your brain a sense of safety and closure before the event even begins. You trick your mind into feeling the future reward, and in doing so, you bring it closer. Practice radical acceptance for inner freedom. Some things can't be changed, at least not right away. The past, other people's behavior, global events. Fighting reality creates suffering. That's where radical acceptance comes in. It means acknowledging what is, fully, honestly, without resistance. Not because you agree with it, but because it already exists. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means clarity. You stop using your energy to resist the present and start using it to respond to it. Say to yourself, this is what's happening right now. I don't have to like it, but I can meet it fully. That's where healing begins. The 3 good things, nightly reflection. Before bed, think of 3 things that went well today. They don't have to be huge. Maybe someone held the door open for you. Maybe you made a good cup of tea. Maybe the sunset was beautiful. Write them down or say them out loud. This is called the 3 good things exercise, and it's been shown to increase happiness and reduce depressive symptoms, even weeks after starting. Why does it work? Because it trains your brain to scan for positive cues instead of defaulting to what went wrong. Your mind becomes a better storyteller, one that includes joy. This isn't about denial, it's about balance. And bedtime is the perfect moment to let that balance settle into your nervous system. The pause, notice, name, mindfulness method. When you feel a surge of emotion, irritation, anxiety, sadness, practice 3 steps. Pause. Stop what you're doing just for a moment. Notice. Tune into your body. Where is the feeling showing up? Name. Put a label on it. This is frustration, or this is fear. This technique slows down the automatic reaction. Naming the emotion recruits the prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO, and puts the brakes on the amygdala, the panic center. With repetition, this habit rewires your response. You stop being swept away by emotions and start riding the wave with awareness. Use energy mapping. Instead of time blocking, traditional productivity methods focus on time. Schedule the hour, manage the calendar. But what if you scheduled your day around energy instead? Some people are most alert in the morning. Others find their flow in the evening. Instead of forcing hard tasks into low-energy slots, align your activities with your natural rhythms. Map your day like this: high energy, deep work, creativity, medium energy, collaboration, routine tasks, low energy, errands, movement, rest. This is called energy mapping, and it respects your biology. When your actions match your rhythms, effort feels easier. You stop fighting your body. You work with it.
instead of let it go. We often hear the phrase let it go, but that can feel impossible, especially with strong emotions or painful memories. Instead, try a gentler version. Let it
Be. Letting something be means allowing it to exist without resistance. You don't have to fix it, justify it, or erase it. You just acknowledge it. You say, "This is here right now, and that's okay." This approach is rooted in mindfulness and acceptance-based therapies. It reduces struggle. It brings peace. Over time, what is let be often becomes let go, not by force, but by freedom. Mental rehearsal. Play the tape to the end. When you're about to make a short-term decision that might have long-term consequences, procrastinating, snapping in anger, quitting early, play the tape forward. Ask, if I do this, then what? And after that, and after that. Visualize the ripple effect, the energy you'll carry, the aftermath. This technique, used in recovery circles and cognitive therapy, helps the mind move beyond impulse. It makes the long-term visible, and when the future becomes clear, the present becomes easier to navigate. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. When anxiety hits, your mind spins. You lose contact with the present. This simple technique brings you back. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. It anchors your senses. It slows the breath. It reminds the nervous system, I am safe right now. Use this anytime stress hijacks your awareness. It's like a mental parachute. It doesn't erase the fall, but it softens the landing. Time travel gratitude to access deeper joy. Imagine your past self, 5 years ago, struggling through something hard. They were worried about things you've already solved. Maybe they longed for something you now take for granted. Speak to that version of yourself. Show them what you have now. This technique, called time travel gratitude, collapses the distance between then and now. It helps you see the hidden victories in your life, the things you've gained, the storms you've survived. It also creates compassion for the journey, for every version of you that got you here. Use the opposite day method for mental flexibility. When you're stuck in a rigid mindset, fear, resistance, negativity, try this. Act as if today is opposite day. If your habit is to avoid a task, do it first. If your reflex is to doubt yourself, assume you're capable. If you usually say no, say yes. Or vice versa. This playful twist disarms resistance and shakes up neural patterns. It gives your brain a pattern interrupt, a moment to choose differently. You don't have to commit forever, just for today, just to see what happens when you act from possibility instead of habit. Create a done list instead of a to-do list. To-do lists are useful, but they can also create a sense of lack. You're constantly aware of what's unfinished. The done list flips that script. At the end of the day, write down everything you did, even the small things. You'll be surprised at how much you actually accomplished. Brushed your teeth, answered an email, showed up. This list affirms progress. It quiets the inner critic. It shifts the narrative from not enough to I showed up. Speak to yourself like someone you love. You would never speak to a friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself. The harshness, the judgment, the pressure. So here's the practice. When self-criticism arises, pause and ask, what would I say to someone I love who felt this way? Then, say that to yourself. This is more than a feel-good exercise. It changes the tone of your internal world. It builds trust. It turns your mind into a place of belonging, not battle. And in the long run, that kind of self-relationship changes everything. Create mental bookends for your day. Your day is shaped not by its busiest moments, but by how it begins and ends. These moments act as bookends, frames that hold the rest of your day together. Start with intention. End with reflection. In the morning, ask, what kind of energy do I want to bring today? Or, what would make today meaningful? At night, ask, what did I learn today? Or, what am I grateful for? This routine doesn't take long. A few minutes, a few breaths, but it gives your brain clear anchors. You shift from reacting to responding. You live by design, not default. Use the third option rule to escape black and white thinking. When faced with a hard choice, we often collapse our thinking into two extremes. Stay or go, win or lose, succeed or fail. But there's almost always a third option, a creative middle path. This technique helps break out of binary thinking. Ask, what would a compromise look like? What if I did both, but less? What if I waited? Often, the third option involves nuance, time, or a hybrid. It may not be perfect, but it's empowering. It reminds you that life is rarely either or, it's both and. The 90% rule for saying yes. Do you struggle with overcommitting? Try the 90% rule. When deciding whether to say yes to something, a meeting, a favor, a project, rate your enthusiasm from 0 to 100. If it's not at least a 90, it's a no. This rule protects your time, your energy, and your future self. It helps you choose based on alignment, not guilt or pressure. Yes should feel clear. If it's not, it's probably a no. Micro meditations. Find calm in 60 seconds. You don't need 30 minutes or a silent retreat to practice meditation. Just 60 seconds. Eyes open, breath slow, attention focused. Can shift your whole nervous system. Use micro meditations throughout the day. Before a difficult conversation, after a stressful meeting, while waiting in line. Focus on one breath, one sound, one moment. The power is in the pause. These mini reset buttons build cumulative calm. They teach your body that peace isn't a place, it's a practice. Create a not to do list for mental clarity. Most people focus on what to add. More tasks, more goals, more habits. But subtraction is just as powerful. A not to do list defines the things you'll deliberately avoid because they drain your focus or values. Examples: don't check email before 10 a.m. Don't say yes without 24 hours to think. Don't scroll social media after 9 p.m. By identifying your personal energy leaks, you reinforce boundaries, you stop managing time, and start protecting attention. Use the 5-finger breathing technique. This is a simple, tactile way to calm the body and focus the mind, especially during anxiety. Here's how. Hold out one hand. With your other hand, trace your fingers slowly. Inhale as you trace up a finger. Exhale as you trace down. Repeat across all 5 fingers. The combination of breath, rhythm, and touch soothes the nervous system. It's quiet, it's portable, and it brings the body and mind back into sync. Reframe mistakes as data. Mistakes are not proof of failure. They're data points. Feedback from the world, not verdicts on your worth. When something doesn't work, ask, what does this teach me? What can I try differently? What belief needs adjusting? This mindset transforms mistakes from shame triggers into learning triggers. It rewires your fear response. Instead of retreating, you adapt. In science, failure is part of discovery. Treat your life the same way. Emotional forecasting. Plan for future feelings. Before making a big decision, try this. Forecast how you'll likely feel during each option. Not just what will happen, but how it might feel to live with that choice. This taps into your emotional wisdom. It reveals hidden truths. You might realize this path is safe but I'd feel stifled. This risk is scary, but I'd feel proud. We often underestimate our emotional future, but when you factor in feelings, not just facts, you make choices that are more deeply aligned. Catch the critic and respond with kindness. Your inner critic shows up uninvited. It says, "You're not doing enough. You always mess this up. You'll never get there." When you hear that voice, pause. Don't fight it. Just catch it. Name it. Then respond as a wiser voice might say, "You're scared, not useless. You're trying, and that's enough. You're growing, even when it's slow." This isn't about silencing the critic. It's about replacing it with a coach. Over time, the critic loses power, and the inner coach gets louder. Celebrate small wins. Out loud. When you do something hard, even just getting out of bed, finishing a task, taking a walk, celebrate. Out loud. With a smile, with a fist pump, with a quiet yes. This releases dopamine, which reinforces the behavior. It builds motivation from the inside out. Too often, we wait for big milestones to feel proud, but small wins are the journey. And when you honor them, you keep the momentum alive. Your brain needs encouragement, and you are the best person to give it. Use future you as a guide. When you face a decision, ask, "What would future me thank me for?" This simple mental trick pulls your awareness out of short-term urges and into long-term wisdom. It builds self-respect by connecting with the version of yourself you're growing into. Visualize them clearly, healthier, calmer, wiser. Let them advise you. Let them remind you you're becoming someone worth showing up for. Create micro missions. When motivation is low, big goals feel overwhelming. When motivation dips, shrink the target. Don't write a book. Write one sentence. Don't work out. Do 5 squats. These are micro missions, so small you can't fail. They bypass resistance and activate momentum. And once you start, you usually keep going. Tiny steps add up. They build identity. They show your brain, "I'm someone who takes action, even when it's hard." Name your inner voices. We all have multiple inner voices. The critic, the protector, the dreamer. When you name them, you create space. You stop identifying with them and start observing them. Try this. "Oh, that's my inner perfectionist again. This is the scared part of me speaking. My inner child needs reassurance." This technique from internal family systems therapy increases self-awareness and reduces shame. It turns internal chaos into a conversation, one you can respond to with compassion. Practice selective ignorance. You don't have to know everything. In fact, knowing too much about bad news, gossip, irrelevant info clutters the mind and drains energy. Selective ignorance means choosing what not to consume. It's not apathy, it's strategy. Ask, what information nourishes me? What distracts or depletes me? Then unfollow, mute, or log off. Your attention is finite. Treat it as sacred. Set the bar at showing up. Success isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. And the best way to stay consistent is to lower the bar to something ridiculously achievable. Instead of aiming for perfect, aim for present. If you're tired, just show up. Open the book. Step on the mat. Sit at the desk. What matters is not what you did. It's that you came back. Over and over. That's how habits are built. That's how trust is built. With yourself. Use the 6-second pause for emotional regulation. Before reacting in anger, frustration, or fear, try this. Pause for 6 seconds. Breathe. Let the initial wave pass. This gives your brain time to move out of the emotional center and into the reasoning center. It's the difference between reacting and responding, between damage and growth. 6 seconds can change a conversation, a decision, a relationship. The two truths technique. When stuck in black and white thinking, balance your mind with two truths. For example, I'm scared about this change, and I'm also excited. I messed up, and I'm still worthy of respect. This is hard, and I have tools to handle it. This technique honors emotional complexity. It makes space for both fear and strength, both pain and resilience. Your truth doesn't have to be singular. You're allowed to hold more than one feeling at a time. Anchor to a why. That feels personal. When building a habit or chasing a goal, motivation fades unless your why is strong. But here's the key. Your why must be personal, not what sounds noble or what others expect. It has to resonate in your body. Ask, why does this matter to me today? The more emotional and specific your why, the deeper your drive. And on hard days, it's what pulls you forward when discipline isn't enough. Use curiosity to replace judgment. When you notice yourself judging, your body, your productivity, your emotions. Pause and ask a different question. What's going on here? Curiosity opens the door that judgment slams shut. Instead of, I'm lazy, you might realize, I'm tired because I haven't been sleeping. Instead of, I'm a mess, you see, I'm overwhelmed and need a break. This shift isn't soft, it's effective. Curiosity leads to insight, and insight leads to change. Practice compassionate disappointment. Sometimes you'll fall short, and it'll hurt. The trick is to feel the disappointment without turning it into self-hatred. Say to yourself, that didn't go how I wanted, and I'm allowed to be sad, and I'm still okay. This is called compassionate disappointment. It honors your standards, but holds your humanity. It's how you grow without breaking your own heart. Take mental screenshots of joy. When something good happens, laughter with a friend, a cozy moment, a small win. Pause and say, this is a good moment. I want to remember this. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Store it like a screenshot in your mind. This practice strengthens your brain's ability to notice and retain positive moments. Over time, you build a library of joy that your brain can revisit during darker times. Use the 2-minute walk reset. Feeling stuck, tired, or unfocused? Take a 2-minute walk. Indoors, outdoors, even just around your home. The movement resets your brain's chemistry. It shifts your posture. It increases circulation and clarity. 2 minutes can feel like a reset button. Simple, short, powerful. Zoom out to gain perspective. When you're caught in stress or overthinking, zoom out. Picture yourself from a bird's eye view. Then further, zoom out to your city, your country, the earth. This shift reminds you of your smallness and your connectedness. It's not to make your problems feel insignificant. It's to remind you there's space around the struggle. There's life beyond this moment. Use done is better than perfect to build momentum. Perfectionism is a trap. It delays action, stifles creativity, and burns out motivation. Instead, adopt the motto, done is better than perfect. Release the need for flawless. Focus on progress. Imperfect work done consistently outpaces perfect work never started. Momentum matters more than mastery. Practice. Pre-compassion for the next hard thing. You know another challenge will come. An argument, a loss, a fear. So prepare now by practicing pre-compassion. Say, whatever happens, I will not abandon myself. This simple sentence builds inner safety. It becomes a promise that no matter how hard things get, you'll stay kind, you'll stay close. That promise changes how you face the future. Use the Pomodoro promise for focus bursts. Focus is hard. The Pomodoro technique breaks it into small sprints. 25 minutes of focused work. 5-minute break. Just promise yourself one Pomodoro. That's all. Often, just starting is enough to overcome resistance. The brain likes containers, and time-limited sprints reduce overwhelm. Identify emotional allergies. Some situations trigger big reactions, bigger than they should. These are often emotional allergies linked to past wounds. Maybe criticism reminds you of being judged as a child. Maybe being ignored feels like rejection. Identify them, not to blame yourself, but to understand. Awareness gives you a choice. You can soothe the old wound, not just react from it. Use mental contrasts for gratitude. Gratitude isn't just listing blessings. It's feeling the contrast. So picture the opposite. Imagine losing your ability to walk. Then go for a walk. Imagine never meeting your best friend. Then call them. This contrast makes the present moment vivid. It's not forced positivity. It's depth perception for the soul. Rehearse. Compassion in advance. You will encounter rudeness, ignorance, or difficulty. Prepare now to respond with compassion, not just for them, but for your own peace. Say, when I'm tested, I'll meet it with calm, not because they deserve it, but because I do. This prepares the nervous system. You create the response before the trigger arrives. End with the gentle question, what do I need right now? Whenever you feel lost, stuck, tired, or disconnected, ask this, what do I need right now? Not what you should do, not what others expect, but what you need in this body, in this breath, in this moment. Often, the answer is simple: rest, water, quiet, a deep breath, a kind word. And often, you're the only one who can give it to yourself.